From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big night of evenings LALATE, and breaking news tonight. Your forced stimulus check gets Main Street coverage, as Main Street to mainstream media is now covering your forced stimulus check. The reoccurring stimulus checks that both House members and Democratic senators want you to have. The push is underway, Purple Power, and now we see the likelihood of this getting to the finish line. This is if the economy does not rebound as quickly as some people worry about. Last week, I saw a series of economic data that saw a growth rate no one saw coming. But even at that growth rate, we're fine to get to the finish line. The question is what's going to happen next week. Next week, we're going to see a series of new unemployment data coming out Thursday. And if that growth is even stronger, if the new corporate earnings that come out next week from Coca-Cola, United Airlines, and American Express are even stronger than that, is there now a likelihood of taking it off the track? I'll explain how this happens. Meantime, next week is going to all be about climate for the President of the United States. Will that push the narrative to get to buy reconciliation faster than sooner? Because the Republicans don't want to give climate. In this analysis in tonight's recording, I'll go over all that and also the shocking developing details about Bitcoin. As cryptocurrency continues to fall in overnight trading and all throughout Sunday. The bubble may be about to burst, but before it's about to burst, let's go into an evenings of Evenings LA, starting right now. Good evening, everybody. It's Evenings LA, and we have a big recording tonight. I'm covering everything from student loan debt forgiveness, the EIDL grant, the money for mortgages and mortgage assistance. Where is it, and why is it not landing in states? Also, rent and utilities and more, and of course, the forced stimulus. Also, I'll be covering the surprising developing details about crypto and what's happening on Wall Street tomorrow and this week. How are you? It's a big Sunday night with big financial news across the board, and I'm so excited you have joined me on LALATE, the most comprehensive and the most complete financial news network, reporting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and thank you for joining me on tonight's Evenings LA. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hot Power, or Calcino VIP. The link's at the top of the chat. In tonight's recording, we're going to go over all those details, but we're going to start first with the fourth stimulus check. You have to understand that this has been ground zero for coverage of forced stimulus check, that monthly stimulus check for several weeks. Now other people are coming in and piling on because they found nothing else to talk about. Well, in fact, it's now helping. Finally, forced stimulus is becoming a mainstream media news tonight before even the crash, a looming potential crash of Bitcoin, of crypto, the concern about corporate earnings going through the roof, and inflationary concerns. Guess what? Forced stimulus is now the number one news story tonight on major financial news channels. They're mirroring the coverage of this channel. And not only is it the number one lead story, it's also the number one searched story, meaning that the viewers who are tuning into broadcast news are actually watching that story before other stories. This means that people's curiosity is piqued, and now their curiosity is spurred based upon that coverage. Also making news is the coverage that providing forced stimulus would lift 6.6 million people out of poverty, according to the Urban Brookings Institute in a new report this weekend. Here's what a lot of new reports this afternoon, Sunday, are now saying. That the likelihood of another stimulus check this year is very likely, but that the likelihood of multiple stimulus checks is even more likely. Here are the factors at issue that could impact your delivery of multiple stimulus checks. Number one, speed, and number two, the economy. And number three, well, is that three? I thought you said two. Number three is bipartisanship. The Republicans have said they're not going to do the forced stimulus package because it has climate in there. Guess what happens next week? Climate conference. Yep. So during a climate conference next week, which is a conference, it's not a negotiation. The president's going to be talking and you're going to be listening or not listening. And he'll be talking about climate and more climate. And the Republicans will probably cover up their ears because they don't want to hear about climate. They're not going to spend money on climate. They've actually made very clear that for purpose of forced stimulus, if you give them anything with climate, they're covering up their ears and not giving a penny. Well, that signals one word. It starts with reconcilio and ends with ation. Reconciliation, yes, and away we go. A reconciliation process is a 2-month process, and a reconciliation process does not need bipartisan support. And in fact, was used for the third stimulus package. What is the timeline, and what do you need to know for reconciliation? Let's get to it right now. Reconciliation is a 2-step process, and it takes 2 months. When is the bill to finality? When would they get this bill done, LA? When would the checks go out, LA? The bill would be called for a vote in July. Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi have confirmed in writing and verbally on the record several times. So that we have confirmed. In fact, the White House, during a press briefing on Thursday, confirmed that as well. When asked, when are you going to call this for a final vote? They said no later than July 4th weekend. Good. Why is that really important? It's important for a series of reasons. One, Congress goes on vacation after that, and they don't come back until September. So you don't want this sitting around because they'll never get to it. The economy may be rebounded by September, and every month it costs you another stimulus check because these are monthly stimulus checks. So that is the first issue at hand. So if it's a 2-month process, why does it take 2 months? And when do they need to start getting this done? They need to start getting this done in about the next 2 weeks. Because if you look at 2 weeks from July 4th, it's about 2 weeks from now. 2 months before to July 4th, it starts in about 2 weeks from now. What are the 2 steps process? Well, the 2 steps process starts with first, the Speaker of the House calling for a reconciliation bill. All it says is a procedural bill, has no substance in it. Doesn't say apples, doesn't say oranges, just calls for a reconciliation bill. At that point, it goes to the House floor for a vote, then goes over to the Senate to approval, and then to the President to sign. The tow truck has at that point passed over the finish line. Time to go back and pick up the tow hitch. What's the tow hitch? Away we go. Let's get into the analysis of the substance, because the tow hitch is the substance. If you're looking at the senators and you're looking at the House members, they have different ways they seek to approach the whole reconciliation process. Let's look at the analysis and how it differs. House members propose stimulus checks every month throughout the pandemic until the pandemic's over, and then 1 year thereafter. So this could amount to nearly 18 months of checks. There's at least 6 months left of this pandemic, so 6 months plus 12 more, another year is about 18 months of stimulus checks. The senators propose it to go from now to December. Who are the people at play here? Well, the House Democrats are more progressive. They're younger members of Congress. The senators are elder members of Congress. They're the movers and shakers. What are the amounts, LA? How different does this run up? Well, the senators, the amounts would likely be more per month. The House members less per month with more months. House members $1,000 a month. Thereafter, first month, $2,000. They actually have a bill for this. The senators haven't said the exact amount, but here you go. Here is the calculation. For purpose of forced stimulus, the senators proposing July to December, word on the street says that the senators want to pay either $1,400 a month or $2,000 a month. Here is how this compares senators versus House members. If the House members were giving you $2,000 a month from July to December, that's 6 months of $2,000. That's $12,000. Whereas the House members would be giving you less money, but over more time. House members would be giving you $1,000 over 18 months, or $18,000. It's a difference of whether you like money on the come or like money long term. Here's what the Federal Reserve says, that nearly 30 to 50% of all money received from stimulus checks is actually never spent, actually just put in the bank. If that's true, that confirms what the viewers of this channel have said universally, that they prefer getting the money sooner rather than later, even if it's a little bit less. They rather get $12,000 in 6 months rather than $18,000 in 18 months. Which do you like? Drop in the comments right now. Do you like faster or do you like slower? Remember, slow is more money, but it takes longer to get the money. Faster is a smaller amount of money, but you can keep it in the bank and make interest on it. Or invest it, just not in doggy coin. So away we go. Now, at that tow hitch period of time wondering what goes on. How would this formulate, Elliot? Well, a new report yesterday from Politico says, and this was really fascinating. This was not a front page news article, folks. This was a buried article. I just found it deliciously fascinating. It says Speaker Pelosi's new ally, who she kept a secret, is House member Omar. Omar, yes. Why is this big for purposes of stimulus? Because Omar is among those House members who want to give you those monthly stimulus checks. They're among those members that have been pushing the president, among others, part of the gang, part of others, part of Talib and Jalapal and others who have pushed since March for those monthly stimulus checks. Who is among these other people with Omar and the people in the last graphic that want those monthly stimulus checks who are in the House? About 100 of them. So will Speaker Pelosi put that in when the tow hitch goes to the House? Insiders really just don't know. Too hard to predict. The allegiance with Omar suggests that Pelosi will certainly bridge the idea and may actually consider it and go ahead with it. Here's what you need to know, is that if she puts it in there, great. If she doesn't put it in there, no worry. Because what happens is that the bill then goes to the Senate after it's approved. And during the vote-a-rama, that is when the senators put the modifications in there. The vote-a-rama is a two-step process, and the vote-a-rama is basically a two-day event at which amendments to the fourth stimulus are entered by senators across the board. Earlier today, I detailed for the first time really on this channel how a vote-a-rama is not what people think it really is, and how the senators' approach to dealing with it is not what you think it is as well. Let me explain. A vote-a-rama is a two-day event at which they receive the bill, the tow hitch from the House, and then they say, you know what, we want to make some amendments. You're waiting for that amendment for the multiple stimulus checks, of course. So do they have a press conference before they do this? Do they introduce it by a written document? It's sitting on the Senate floor. Is it sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk for 5 weeks? Do they have press conferences with big blow-ups and have the prom creators walk forward? No, they actually do the opposite. The vote-a-rama is one of the most secretive, plotted out, covert, almost MacGyver-ish, yes, MacGyver-ish, Senate maneuvers you ever see on this channel. Why? Because it's a very quick process, and they plot these out ahead of time, because often there are big opponents to what they want to do. Guess who those opponents are? Of course, the opposite party. In the case of a vote-a-rama, this is what they're generally doing. They're generally drafting up the amendment weeks ahead of time, if not months ahead of time. They probably already have the monthly stimulus checks written up for the next vote-a-rama. They probably have one written up for the minimum wage, another attempt from Bernie Sanders. They probably have one written up for student loan debt forgiveness as sort of a standalone bill. They probably have other things already written up. Then what they do is they show them to their colleagues, their inner confidants, the people they've known in the Senate for 10, 20 years that they know can keep a secret. And they say, what do you think about this? These multiple stimulus checks. I like it. I think the number needs to be higher. I need the eligibility needs to change. They go through and they privately, out of the eyes and ears of you and the broadcast media, caucus privately about how they want to amend it, so that ultimately they know they got this many people that are ready to support and pass it when they introduce it. They have Leader Schumer on tack as well, because he has to call for a vote. He actually have to call the amendments for a vote. And when in the 2 days of the call for a vote is also a big issue as well. Because if you tip someone off, an opponent, that you're going to raise this during the vote-a-rama, they may try to preempt you with a counter idea. This is why it's so important for you to understand the optics of the situation. Number one, the president's not going to talk about your stimulus checks. Number two, they're not going to see stimulus checks spoken about by senators until the 11th hour when you hear a vote-a-rama has occurred, when you hear the amendment has been introduced. Third, you're not going to actually see a bill. A vote-a-rama is different. You're not going to see a bill sitting around. It's an amendment. It's sitting on someone's desk. They literally just walk in and they say, here, call this for a vote right now. No one has seen it unless it was within that inner circle before it's called for a vote. It's about as secret can be. What you need to know is they do see your reactions. They do see your push. They do understand your push for those monthly stimulus checks. But they're not going to show you a copy of what they're drafting as an amendment ahead of time. They're not going to parade it with billboards and press releases and appearances on broadcast media before they do it, unless it's someone like a Bernie Sanders with minimum wage that may not have a lot of support to begin with. In the case of multiple stimulus checks, it's going to be very quick and very sudden. So let's go back to the numbers for those monthly stimulus checks, and let's understand where we are. This is another graphic I want to show, which is very important. Some viewers have been confused by the letters that have been circulating from the senators who support monthly stimulus checks and the House members. For example, the senators 21 of 50 wrote the president a letter. Some viewers have asked, does that mean there's only 21 people who support multiple stimulus checks? No, it just means that 21 people signed a letter. Doesn't mean that they don't have 22 votes or 23 votes. That's not at all the case. It's just people who wrote the actual letter. Then what's also really important to understand is that sometimes, and very often, House members will caucus with Senate members so that they plot ahead of time what they want as a team to do. So would progressives in the House plot ahead of time with the Democrats what they want? Yes. So while you may have heard and seen that standalone bill, which got a lot of press and a lot of publicity from the House members, of $1,000 per month, since then, those House members may be privately caucusing with the senators to prepare how and what goes on the tow hitch during the House process before it even gets to the Senate process. Here's what you need to know. It's not like a normal bill. In the case of a normal bill, it's introduced, a lot of publicity, a lot of public relations, media appearances, everything left and right, blow-ups, logos, everything. In the case of a vote-a-rama or reconciliation, it is literally very sneaky because everything across the board is an attempt by certain people trying to get certain things done. In the third stimulus package, the $10,200 was done quietly like this. Of unemployment, the $10,200 tax-free unemployment. The mortgage forbearance, the student loan debt forgiveness that is tax-free, done quietly. You found out about it after the fact. I'll have more about this later in this recording, but big news coming up this week about where this economy is going and how quickly it could rebound. I'll be covering that in a second, but let me cut to some other breaking details which surfaced on Friday. Ron Wyden is really signaling not just his move, but what could be a major move, a new report today says, to really revamp unemployment. Unemployment is generally paid by your state. It's not generally paid by the federal government. FPUC was a federal government add-on created by CARES Act 1, the first stimulus package. FPUC is going away in September. So is PUA and PUC. So should there be other types of programs like that, a lifetime during the rest of this country? It's during the issues of pandemics and economic instability like last year that sometimes great ideas come to fruition. And FPUC was a really good idea. PUA was a really good idea. Ron Wyden now says that PUA, which is the concept of paying some type of unemployment assistance to people who don't get coverage of unemployment as independent contractors and sole practitioners, should be a lifetime benefit. I agree. And guess what he's introduced? He's introduced a new bill last Friday in the Senate that would, in essence, make PUA a lifetime program, just with a different calculation. His concept is the following, that PUA should exist permanently, just call it something else, $250 a week for up to 6 months per year. So let's say you're an electrician and you had a lot of work in 2022, but something went wrong in 2023, and you can't find work for 4 months. You'd have coverage. You'd have coverage to provide you relief. That's the concept of it. It's one of several bills like the student loan debt forgiveness, which is also a bill in the Senate, where senators are trying to work out of the box, things out of the box. I'll have more about what's happening with that executive order for student loan debt forgiveness, also the EIDL grant, and also what you should anticipate next week from the president, and more coming up right after this commercial break. But first, here's a little bit about the community page, which I will also address after this break about where really is money for rent, utilities, and food, as a lot of states are now reporting they haven't received it. I'll explain to you where it's gone. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues in 2 hours from now as LA Late Night returns. That's our humor video, not informative, but in humor to keep your mindset up, keep you positive, and keep you laughing into the new day. That's coming up in 2 hours from now with Javita Lade and Sirloin giving you their recap of today's major breaking news. Their opinions, not mine. Cows just don't always think clearly. But thank you for joining me on the continuation of Evenings LA. Coming up later in this video is student loan debt forgiveness, the $1,700 of financial aid, mortgage assistance, and property owners assistance, utilities, rent, and food. Also, I'll be going over what's happening for the $10,200 and other items. First, one of the things I want to start with is the student loan debt forgiveness. What happened to that? Well, let me recap. There's two paths. There's the bill in the Senate for $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. That has not really gotten a lot of movement on it. But the president did move 2 weeks ago, well, actually now 2 weeks and a few days ago, on the executive order move. Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer had told the president, you can forgive this by student loan debt. He said, no, I can't. They said, yeah, you can. Obama did it and Trump did it. You can do it. He said, okay, fine. I will have my education secretary, Miguel Cardona, prepare a memo to determine whether I can forgive student loan debt as a president by executive order. And I'll give him 2 weeks to do it. That 2 weeks was last Friday. So viewers have been asking me what happened, because I said the president was going to forgive it, and I said the forgiveness was going to happen Thursday or Friday. It looks like as we go into Monday, the letter has still not been produced by Cardona. So what I would suggest you to do is get on social media, push Elizabeth Warren and push Chuck Schumer, who are real big advocates. I mean, they have this on their Rolodex at slot number 1, covering it every day. Say, what happened to that education secretary's letter about student loan debt forgiveness? It's been 2 weeks. The president's supposed to make a determination. What's going on? This is among sort of the discussions that have happened in the last 7 days where the president says he's going to get to something and he doesn't get to it. You know, he has a lot of stuff to do. So that is really one of the big issues that's still sitting around. Later in this video, I'll show you Elizabeth Warren's video in which she says he has executive authority to do it. Next, during the commercial break, you heard about the volunteers and community page on getting rent, utilities, food, mortgage assistance. Here's a new report that was released Friday evening, I think it was, or Saturday morning, that said there's a real, I don't want to use the word controversy, but issue at hand about rent, utilities, food, and mortgage assistance. What's going on? Third stimulus, the money is reportedly not supposed to land until early May. Why May? To make it even worse, the report also says that in many states, like Florida, second stimulus for that has not even landed. So obviously, you have watched this channel and watched enough Purple broadcasts where I tell you if you need money for rent, utilities, food, reach out to your state hall, your county hall, your city, and your city hall. If they come back to you like in Florida, say we don't have it, they may not actually have it. In California, they do have it. It's really not clear why the federal government has not gotten into certain states. There have been a series of reports asking where is the money and why is the money not there. Second, same situation for mortgage assistance and homeowners assistance, like utility bills. Some reason it's not there. So track that with me over the next few days. I will see if there's an update on that story. Also, the $1,700 of student loan, the $1,700 of financial assistance for students and college students, reach out to your financial advisor for that. And then that $3,600 for children ages 6 to newborn, and $3,000 from 17 to 6. Those payments start in the month of July, $300 a month or $250 a month. The IRS has still not given advisory how to update them about a child if you have never told them the child exists. Most common example is if a person is on SSI, doesn't file tax returns, and has had a new child in the last 2 years, they may not know about the child. Also, the $10,200 tax-free, if you filed your tax return already, your 2020, and pay taxes on it, IRS is sending out a refund check for you. Watch for that, but if you haven't filed your tax return, you'll have to make the modifications for that. IRS said there's going to be another advisory for that app coming out. We haven't seen that as well. Finally, the plus-up check is really one of those terms that has the worst name ever. It came from IRS, that name, and it's not a plus-up. It makes it sound like you're getting $1,600 stimulus checks or $1,800. No, it means you go up to $1,400. What is this about? It's for people who didn't get a full stimulus check because they made too much money. They got a watered-down stimulus check because it was based upon their 2019 tax return and have since filed a 2020 tax return that shows they made less than $75,000. Then IRS says, oh, we should send you a full stimulus check. We will send you the plus to get you to even, not plus up. Plus up sounds like extra money. It's just not a good term. Where we go. Elizabeth Warren says the president can forgive student loan debt by executive order. She says Obama did it and Trump did it. And in January, she basically made it very clear the president has complete legal authority as the president of the United States to do executive order. Let's listen.
Means there are lots of people who aren't moving out from their parents' homes, lots of people who aren't buying their own homes. And one of the other things the data shows, lots of people who are not starting their own businesses. Education. To cancel out the Secretary of Education, to cancel out this student loan debt. And President Obama used it to cancel some student loan debt. President Trump used it to cancel some student loan debt. I want to see President Biden use it.
So there you hear very clearly, she says she's waiting for that education secretary to tell the president he can do it, that Obama did it and Trump did it. So what's the problem, she says?
It would cancel $50,000 in student loan debt. It would make an enormous difference in the lives of tens of millions of Americans and help build our entire nation a stronger future going forward. So, as you know, I'm all in on this one. And if we could persuade the president, we could do this one fast.
Meantime, one topic I've not covered at all in several days, if not a week, is which items apply to me and which items apply to you. People always ask, can I get this? Can I get that? Let me do that right now in this recording. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security and Railroad benefits, which items can you get? First, you can get these 4 stimulus checks, these monthly stimulus checks. They apply to you. Second, if you have a child, you can get that $3,600 or $3,000 starting in the month of July. It's not dependent on any other factor except that you made less than $75,000. You can get rent, utilities, food, internet, and more from third stimulus as well. How about everyone else? Well, if you're an independent contractor, gig worker, sole practitioner, In addition to what I just detailed, you can also get an EIDL remainder of your $10,000 EIDL grant, which is now being offered by SBA. Those invites are coming to those 2020 applicants, not coming in order. Watch for that invite and respond promptly. If you applied in February, they're stuck in a vortex, literally. I can exclusively report. And SBA knows about that vortex. Next, the shuttered venue grant is not just for venues, but for a lot of other people. So if you're a gig worker, watch for that. It's about to go live. It is still not live. SBA sent out an email, which I got this weekend, that said, guess what? The website's still not working. The PPP grant has now been extended, so you can get that as well. There is no grant to start a new business, and the $5,000 EIDL grant under the third stimulus looks like it's not going to go live under SBA. It looks like they're not particularly following what the bill said to do. Actually, law. So yeah, it's SBA. Javita Lake will explain that to you in the next video. So away we go. Meantime, what's happening next week? Next week, the president's going to have a lot of climate meetings. And those climate meetings are going to show how forced stimulus has climate as 30% of the bill. Since Friday, the press secretary has told the American people she was waiting for a counterproposal from the Republicans for the forced stimulus package. It's not really true. She's had that counterproposal since day one, when the number one senator for transportation and infrastructure, Roy Blount, out of Missouri, said, you know what, here's a counterproposal. I'll do infrastructure for you. You take out the climate and we have a deal. The president said, no, I have to have some money for everything. And with that, the line in the sand has been drawn. Away we go to recon. Purple Power, you need to push. You need to take these videos and push on social media and get the message out loud and clear. Start the recon. Start the recon. Over next week, we're going to see the series of new financial data that comes out. Tomorrow and the day after, it just starts to hit. Tomorrow is Coca-Cola, United Airlines, and IBM reporting Q1 2021 earnings. This is the first 3 months of earnings. The numbers are expected to blow it out of the ballpark. Then on Tuesday, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Netflix report earnings, but the big ones are Friday. Honeywell and American Express report on Friday. Also expected is the big unemployment numbers this coming Thursday. Last week, unemployment numbers kicked it out of the ballpark, blew it out of the ballpark as well. 576,000 new unemployment claims, the lowest since March of 2020. What will happen this Thursday? We'll find out on Mornings LA that day. Also, continuing unemployment claims dropped to the lowest level in a long time. Dropped 1 million. We'll see that number this Thursday as well. And with that, join me next as this programming schedule continues. You're currently watching Evenings LALATE. Up next is Late Night, our laugh-a-minute, irreverent, non-informational, humor-only broadcast with Javita Late and also Sirloin giving you their opinion of the current events of financial news this week. Tomorrow morning, I return with Mornings LALATE after Early Mornings LALATE. Early Mornings LALATE is at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we go to mornings, and then noon and afternoons. A new show every 2 hours. It's easy breezy, and it's easy to follow. Thank you for joining me on a big night of Evenings LA. Hope you've been good and safe. It's been very windy, very warm here. I hope you're safe where you are. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. If you haven't said hi, I'm in the chat. And do you recognize him? Is that him? I don't recognize him without the scars. If you're in the live chat, say hi. Meantime, if you've not liked the video, let's try to do 3,000 likes. Stay informed, stay focused, and consider becoming a member of Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And stay with me. I'll see you in 2 hours from now as LA Late Night kicks off.